Welcome to Awakening, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christian Strang, and welcome to your November 2023 Oracle reading. November is the 11th month. It is the master number 11 that often symbolizes sacred union. You won't be surprised that this month's Oracle reading comes to you from our Oracle Sacred Love and Sacred Times, which is currently out of print, and we hope to have a new edition of it available to you in the future. But for now, we are going to bring you the very specific message and focus for your month of November. This is that master number energy that often denotes sacred union. We're going to go into your message, your Oracle reading, your transmission for this month, and you can learn a little bit more about that. So I want to invite you, wherever you're at, to take a couple of nice deep breaths, and the purpose of these breaths is to center you more fully into your body. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling out of your mouth. If you are not driving or operating heavy equipment, I want to invite you to close your eyes for your first listen or your first experience of this transmission, this Oracle reading for the month of November, so that you can really marinate in it and really receive the phrases, the nuggets of wisdom that are just so perfectly applicable to your life stream at this time. So you may even want to pause this recording, get a nice cup of herbal tea or apothecary or a radiance elixir from our metaphysical menu and cozy up with this incredible message to you. This is to be, and we invite you for this to be your focus for the month of November. All right, so taking those nice deep breaths, just allowing yourself to be in receiving mode so that you can hear the phrases and the nuggets that are just for you, that are especially for you for this month. We are going right into the transmission that is titled, if I can get this for you. We're going into the transmission that's titled Wound Mates and the Love of Your Life. And we're starting at a very perfect place for this. And again, this is your invitation for the month of November to make this your focus. Now, what does that look like for you? You may wish to listen to this Oracle reading once a week as a way to keep it in your present moment awareness. Or you may wish to follow some piece of guidance that stands out to you from this Oracle reading for this month. You get to choose and honor what feels most true to your sacred heart for how you will interact with this guidance from Source herself. So for those of you that are new to my swirl, welcome. Every month I tune in and ask my connection with Source, what is the message for this month for all those who are going to be listening to this podcast? And then I'm guided to one of our particular oracles, and then I am guided to a particular message. So here we go. When you make your spiritual practice, when you make this path your number one focus, all else comes to you with far more ease than when you do not. Sure, you'll always get there, eventually, whether in this lifetime or the next, but how much more fun to have a more enjoyable journey filled with more fun along the way, and then come together with the perfect people, places, and opportunities. And we know you're wondering about our getting there comment. What we mean is you will meet the love of your life if you desire to. It will happen. No question. Some of you will delay this because you tie yourself in knots trying to make it work with a wound mate. And that's okay. It's not a super fun ride, but that's okay. We would love to see more of you with your divinely aligned partners. We believe Christian was calling them divinely destined partners for some time. This is the love of your life. We want more of you to be with that one. It's a good lifting off place to be. But the only way to be with that person is to do your quote unquote work, i.e. your healing expansion, and to be really honest with yourself. Many of you are in a relationship at this time that has reached its expiration date. You know this at a deep level, but there's a house and maybe children and other commitments, and it seems just too messy to leave. And we have to tell you, it's too messy for you to stay. It all sorts of messes with your vibration and with your ability to live the fullness of this experience when you stay, when you know in your soul that you need to go. And we know it's tough at times for you, and we're not suggesting otherwise. We just desire for more of you to really own your magnificence and align first with the soul of who you really are, and then allow the love of your life to flow to you with ease. And this is where it gets really, really good. No matter if you're single or in relationship, if you will make the commitment right here, right now, to your spiritual path being your number one priority, and that you know that part of that path is being with the love of your life, things will begin to shift for you. Invoke us. Call in your guides and angels of the highest light. Ask for heaven and earth to be moved to support you in this. Ask for the most aligned teachers, facilitators, supporters, healers, what Christian calls your dream team or your entourage or your spirit squad, to be fully known to you. Ask to be shown the way so that this can occur for you. Because when this is your aim and your focus, and you invoke us to support you, it's less messy and there's more ease. You don't have to fight or figure out if you're with the love of your life. You know deep within you, when you clear the emotional ish, when you allow yourself to be in a state of deep, centered peace. So take a nice, deep, cleansing breath there, inhaling through the nose, exhaling out of your mouth. So your invitation for this master number 11, November, this time of sacred union. And of course, when we speak of sacred union, what we usually think of is uniting with another being, right? But before, or let's not make time linear. And in order to experience that sacred union, you also have to have that sacred union with yourself. The masculine and feminine within you has to come into union. And when the masculine and feminine within you comes into union, your God self, your goddess self, your higher self, whatever term you want to use, flows through you. That's actually you unified with you is your goddess self, is your God self, is your higher self in form. So your invitation for this month is to make your spiritual practice and your spiritual evolution, enlightenment, ascension your number one priority. When you do that, your sacred union can happen within you. Internally, it will happen externally. You will find yourself in union with everything in the most remarkable ways. With nature, with all of life, with the people you love, there is this unification that occurs. And what's really interesting in the artificial matrix, of course, we know the focus is always external. And there's so much focus on external unity and we're going to unify, or the opposite of unity, which we see happening in a big way in the artificial matrix as it's continuing its collapse. The most important thing, and the fourth dimension hates this. They hate it when I say this. But you can't get to union in the collective soul if you don't have union within the individual soul. So I see a lot of folks out there talking about spirituality and saying, oh, this over-focus on self-unification, or they say self-development. So bogus. But you cannot create that which has not been created within yourself. So when we see the matrix fighting itself, when we see the people we love fighting themselves, when we see people in our community fighting each other, it's just a reflection of the lack of self-unity that is taking place in the collective soul. And the only way for you to do anything about what anyone else is doing is to start with you first. And then you become a living expression of unification. And when you become a living expression of unification, then you see the experience of unity in your life in all sorts of divine and magical ways. So why not try it out? That's the invitation. For the month of November, try making your spiritual practice, your spiritual growth, becoming who you really are, your ascension, again, whatever you want to call this. Make that your number one priority. I'm going to prioritize spiritual practice above all else in my life. Just for a month. I'm just going to play with it and see what happens. I'm going to get my entourage together. I'm going to get my dream team. I think they said Spirit Squad. I think that was kind of a new thing when I brought that through. I don't usually say Spirit Squad, but Mary Magdalene and the team said Spirit Squad, so there it is. Get your Spirit Squad together, get your entourage, get your supports together, and make November. And what about the closing of 2023 and, of course, all of the rest of your life? This is my encouragement to you, right? I love this dichotomy because, Mary and the team and the goddesses of the highest light are like, hey, just for a month, try it out. I'm like, hey, for the rest of your life, I'm telling you, it's the best. But try it out for a month. Make your spiritual practice your number one priority. Make it the most important thing in your life. Get your team together. So you've got your supports, you've got your energy medicine that you're having every month at minimum, you've got your daily practices, meditation, prayer, whatever that looks like for you, some kind of movement, whether it's walking in nature, yoga or tai chi or qigong or your own little thing, dancing in the living room, whatever it is. Make your spiritual practice doing your work with your subconscious content, right? We have the superpowers guide for that. So easy. You have a 5-step protocol that you use to release your limiting beliefs, fears, and traumas. So easy. And when you prioritize your spiritual practices as your number one priority, you will watch things in your life shift and change. It is guaranteed to happen. And self-unity happens. You're going to have a deeper connection to a deeper self-intimacy and a deeper balance of your masculine and feminine, because it's just naturally going to happen. When you sit in meditation, your body is able to come into alignment. Your higher self can work on you. Your spiritual team can work on you if you offer that as a possibility. Of course, only the highest light is allowed to work with you. You can have all kinds of healings and expansions take place from a daily meditation practice. And then you go in and you work with your subconscious content and you have your energy medicine to keep the body healthy, and you've got your organic superfoods nutrition. That's part of your spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is honoring that you are a spirit in a body. You are not a human. You're not just a physical being. So you stop treating your body like it's a physical being. You treat it like the advanced technology that it is. These are all the ways that you can make your spiritual practice your number one priority, because you are a spirit. You are a spirit being, and you incarnated into a human form. If you do not care for yourself as a spirit being, you live a mediocre life compared to what is available to you when you honor yourself as a spirit first and foremost. So welcome to the month of the master number 11. Welcome to your month of sacred union, that sacred union starting within yourself, witnessing the union that can happen all over your life, including with the love of your life, as the transmission, as the oracle reading mentions. But that's just, these are just little pieces of what's possible. You can experience union with everything. But let's just start with making the month of November, making this the time to make your spiritual practice your number one focus and priority. I'd love to hear how that goes for you. Now, for those of you that have been on this path with me for some time, like myself, we've been doing this for a long time, right? I don't make a month of my spiritual practice the priority of my whole life since 2008. That's the priority. There's always a deeper place we can go. I've been sharing with those in my my coaches and those in my spiritual mentorship containers. I'm in an intensive. Can you hear my voice here? Intensive. Oh goodness, we're not going to call it. Yeah, we're going to call it an intensive spiritual expansion. I'm in an intensive spiritual expansion right now. Radical transformation. My team had been telling me this was coming for like 3 years. And to the point that I was like, seriously, guys, it just happened. Stop warning me. Stop telling me it's coming. Like, can we just do it? And now that it's here, I'm like, I see why you told me it was coming for 3 years, because this is intensive. So there's always a deeper place we can go. So what does that look like for me? I already prioritize my spiritual practice as my number one in my life. I'm every day working with the Superpowers Guide. I brought on a new member to my team to support my healing. I'm tapping access 3 times a day. I'm doubling my meditation. I've brought in a new movement practice. I'm just taking it deeper and deeper because my life is requiring it. So we go through phases in our life. Some phases, easy peasy. We've done the work. We get to relax, coast for a bit. It's fantastic. You've got your grounded daily practices, perfect. Then you go through intensive. If you could see my face when I say the word intensive, I know it's coming through my voice. And those of you who know me, I'm sure you can imagine the look on my face when I say this. When we go through those intensive periods of growth, there's new places to go. Like my grounded daily spiritual practice that supports me when my life is coasting and I'm in a different phase and it's really easy breezy, very different than when I'm going through an intensive period. So I just double, tripled. My spiritual nutrition is I'm living off of the super aminos are my life. It's like, when you know. If those of you have not taken super aminos yet, you've got to bring that in. It is the purest form of organic protein you can bring in that your body can fully absorb. In any event, it's incredible. But I had to go even deeper. And again, I'm 15 years on this journey. And then when I go through an intensive period, I got an intensive period of growth and expansion. Because my soul wants to ascend to the next level, because my higher self wants to unify more fully in my body, I can't just do what I've been doing. I have to go to the next level. So for those of you that have been on the path, you're like, yeah, I meditate, I pray, whatever. Depending on where you're at in your life, you may need to 10x that. That may go to a whole other level of devotion for you if you're really going through a lot of transformation. And many of us are, because the light is only growing brighter. And the more that we come online to who we really are while in our form, we have to go deeper into our practice. Our nutrition becomes more important. Our daily practices become more important. We have to bring in new practices. We got to bring in new practitioners to support us and assist us. We got to take it deeper. Becoming who you really are is... I'm hearing Mary and the team say you get 80 to 100 years. That's a standard if you're poisoning yourself and, eating non-organic food, which most of us have been because we didn't recognize for a long time how compromised the systems were. But, we'll be able to live longer and longer lifetimes. You've heard me talk about this in previous podcast episodes. As this becomes our regular, and then we teach this to our children and our nieces and nephews and our, giving this to as many souls as we can. But we need that time. We need that 80 to 100 to 125 to 150 to 200 years to really embody the higher self and form and then live and create from that place. The story in the Matrix is you get to that place and then you die, then you get killed, right? That's the story with Yeshua and the false story, I will tell you. And if you have questions about that, see our book, Love Letters for Mary Magdalene. She goes more in depth to that. So that's the storyline. But the truth is, the actual highest vantage point of Source is that you become your higher self more and more and more and more and more and more and more. It's a journey. It's not a one-time event. That's why this is Awakening, the podcast. And then you get to live your life many decades and decades. right? Goddess willing, decades and decades and decades is your higher self in form. More and more and more and more and more of the time. I was like a smidge of my higher self when I started this journey in 2008 and I had my first spiritual awakening. Like just a smidge of me came online, and then it's been more and more and more and more. And now I'm in this another, I think 2015 was like my last really big transformation portal. Now I'm in another really big transformation portal. So we go through this. This is just part of being in a human form, being a spirit in a human form and becoming the spirit self. So the spirit self is shining through the human body. It's magnificent that we get to do this, right? Albeit intensive, very intensive. Not all the time, but at certain phases of our journey. All right, my loves, thank you so much for listening. It's always a joy to share with you. If this podcast episode was of benefit to you, please consider making a donation in the amount that your spirit calls you to. You can do so at sacred-spirituality.org. Click on the podcast, I can say that, button, and that'll take you right there. If this episode was of benefit to you, share it with somebody you know who's on a spiritual path, who is awakened to the fact that they are a spirit in a human form. Feel free to share this. This is how this level of frequency that I'm bringing through reaches other souls. It's by us sharing it with the people that we know and love. This happens very organically and naturally and divinely. And it is an honor to be on this path with you since 2008. Thank you so much again for listening. This has been Awakening the Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Dr. Christian Strang.